So, Alex Burgos, welcome to Creole Night Show.
Yes, thank you.
So, thanks for hanging out with me here today. We're here at Podcast Row at stand-up New York today.
Yep.
And, you and I were just chatting a little bit that you've got this box here that I think we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds. But,
yeah.
And we were looking at some of the objects you've got in there.
Yeah.
But let's kind of, I guess, start at the beginning first.
Sure.
You're creating some really cool, concepts for charity and stuff like that now. But
right.
What brought you into this? Like, what's your personal story?
It's pretty interesting. So, I have two parents, and they suffer from mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
My father, having schizophrenia, he has the brunt of that illness,
mm-hmm.
and then later on, my mom developed it.
Got it.
Later in life. So all my life, basically, I was raised by somebody that has mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I grew up in...
Did that make it difficult?
Yeah, it made it extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But in the difficulty, obviously, you learn a lot of things, and if you can get past that difficulty, you become a better person. And I think that's something that I've become a better person.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Levels are good?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's a bit more Alex than.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm one of those weird people. Like, I brought an XLR and a digital recorder and everything with me just in case.
Always good to have it back.
Dude, you can't not bring gear with you. Anyway, you were saying so it was really hard and...
Yeah. So basically, I was raised by somebody with mental illness, with
mm-hmm.
schizophrenia, and I grew up in an abusive household, unfortunately.
Got it.
And also my religion, my background, which my father, is a Jehovah's Witness still,
mm-hmm.
but it's something that I didn't gravitate towards and something I didn't believe in at a later age.
Mm-hmm.
So in my adulthood life, it was hard for me to, get into regular society. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Because I was very naive. I was part of that religion, and it's very strict and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad about that religion, you know what I mean? But it's something that I didn't believe in, as I was getting older and eventually, I got married at a young age, and I wasn't supposed to get married. I didn't know how to be, a husband,
How old were you at this time?
At that time,
young age.
yeah, I was very young. I was 23 when I got married.
Okay, not that young, man.
Yeah. But
I was engaged at 23, so it just took
yeah.
a while to get married, but yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is with me is maybe if you grew up in a normal household with parents that didn't have mental illness and things.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is when I was growing up, I always thought my dad was 100% normal, and you always look up to your dad as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, as a young man and stuff like that. But it took me a while to understand everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really explained that. And I had so much love and so much empathy from my.
You're saying explain what was going on in your family, or?
Yeah, I didn't understand it. And plus, the abuse, it really. See, the type of abuse we had growing up was basically not to throw all the dirty laundry out there.
No, I get it.
But just to help other people in that situation. My situation is great now. My parents are great now. But at the time when I was young, it was if I just saw a glimpse of goodness, a glimpse of something being done that was good,
mm-hmm.
it was amplified. Whereas if you have parents that do good things constantly,
mm-hmm.
right, that one bad thing is amplified now.
Right.
So it's opposite for me. So
Sure.
And growing up, also my mom would run away because my father was abusive and stuff.
Wow.
And
you guys were in the city? Is that where you were living, or where were you guys?
Yeah. So yeah, we were in New York City, in Queens, and my mom would go from place to place. So I lived a rough young childhood with my brothers and stuff like that. A lot of times I would take care of them. I remember taking care of them.
Oldest, or where were you in that?
Oldest, yes.
So did you find that you were kind of responsible for your brothers then?
Yeah. So it was I had to grow up a little bit, faster. I noticed, like I said, glimpses of my father, and I noticed now, if he didn't have that sickness, he would be an incredible. He is an incredible father.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that he has a sickness where a lot of times he doesn't have the coherency of what's reasonable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Anyway,
So
so
then you got married young.
got married young and things
so,
like that.
So where'd you go from there?
From there, basically, because I was inexperienced, very naive and things like that, a lot of the abuse, I carried that over, to my relationship.
As in, like, it affected the way you saw it, or you became that as well? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, I became like that, like my father, because when you live with somebody like that for so many years, you think certain things are normal.
Sure.
So, that was the process of becoming, getting into society, what everybody else is doing and things like that, what things are wrong, what things are not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult for me, and, and for her as well. She wasn't, she was very loving and things like that, but
Sure.
she also had her problems as well.
Right.
And I didn't know what type of woman I should be searching for because I didn't even know myself at that time. I didn't have my own mind.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
So how did you, I guess, confront that then? Like, how did you take a look at that problem and
It took many years. So I did go through a divorce and things like that. And during the divorce, we had a custody battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, at the end, getting custody of my two boys.
Wow.
Yeah. So the thing is that never go to court, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Communicate,
Mm-hmm.
number two, because all the courts are going to do is they don't care about your family per se. They just care about, I hate to say it, getting capital,
Mm-hmm.
but also like if the more you don't know how to communicate and come to terms with something,
Mhm.
the more money the courts are going to make and things
I
like
think
that.
you can say that about anything in life, though. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
guy that calls his cell phone company and yells at him isn't getting anywhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I got Verizon to. You're out there, Verizon. I got you guys to refund me $300 once when my wife turned her cell phone on in Italy, not realizing it.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
was like, hey, can you please help me?
Right,
Hey,
right.
hey, your manager, get him and let's help us. If you can communicate, man, you can handle a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I
Exactly.
think that's not just true in that case, but it's true everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's true everywhere. But the other thing too is if the other person is not willing to diffuse the situation, then you got a big problem, especially when you're married and stuff like that,
I can see that, but I also can see at a certain point, like you can also have a responsibility level for that too. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like you
yeah.
could be communicating or even having intention in such a way that you're getting that result as well. So it could be full circle. So you're in this situation, you have this court battle, you get your kids. Like what happens from here?
So my main goal was basically not to separate the family. I want, I believe the children should always be with their mother.
Mhm.
That's what I believe. But she wasn't at that time responsible enough.
Mhm.
So I took on that responsibility, and I didn't put any restrictions.
Mhm.
You know how some people are like, oh, you need such and such a date to see the kids. There was none. Like
Right.
I wanted good communication from the start,
Mhm.
and that was my intentions, to be a good father, a good parent. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So later on, actually 2016,
Mhm.
I started to get a better relationship with her.
Mhm.
She started to call me a lot more. She started to turn her life around and things like that.
Mhm.
And she's very loving.
Mhm.
And I wanted things to work with her and the boys tremendously, but
Sure.
she ended up passing away, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I can't talk too much about that because I don't want to cry.
I got
My
it.
first podcast ever.
I understand, man. I got it. So this happens in 2016, and
Right,
how
right.
does this, I guess, involve like what you're doing now? Like how does this, I guess, bridge to that?
So when that happened, I ended up with a few girlfriends and stuff like that, but I noticed I still didn't have a mind of my own.
Sure.
And as a lot of entrepreneurs do, they listen to like Tony Robbins and things like that, these motivational speakers.
No, I'm not a big fan of Tony, but anyway.
Yeah. But I like Les Brown.
Oh, Les Brown's cool.
I like Les Brown. I listen to Tony Robbins. I like Jim Rohn.
Mhm.
So I started listening to them, and I suffered from depression.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I didn't understand depression until recently,
Sure.
until about 2016 when she passed away. It really got me thinking, what am I doing? What do I want? Do I have a mind of my own? I started listening. What do I want to do with my life?
Sure.
I started answering those questions, because life a lot of times it gets you confused and it gets you away from what you really want to do with your own life. You know what I mean? When you have kids, family, and things like that. But in my situation, it was even worse because I had to overcome like a lot of the abuse as a young kid, dysfunctionality and things like that. You know. And I realized that Tony Robbins says that depression starts with what you tell yourself a lot of the times. And I didn't, you know, I'd hear that, but it would go through one ear and out the other. And then I stopped to think, I'm like, yeah, what am I telling myself? The things that I'm telling myself is making me depressed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All along that time, I got girlfriends and things like that, but I noticed it was the same, and it wasn't because of
So it's like a repeating cycle of
Right.
what had previously occurred.
Right. Not the abuse.
Right, no, I got it. But like, I guess you're looking for the same thing.
Right.
Right.
So I noticed that I needed to make a change, and it wasn't with them, it was with me. So cold turkey, no girlfriends no more, and things like that since 2018. I haven't been with a girlfriend since, and I decided to do what I imagined, right? So basically I developed these hearts made out of solid exotic wood.
And what's the significance of that? Like, why hearts?
It's just something that I guess I'm naturally loving and stuff like that. It's something that I was pondering. I wanted to give it to my girlfriends and stuff like that. But it was one occasion when I went to Florida and I was extremely depressed, and I didn't show it. And my niece, she didn't know I was depressed or anything like that, but she ended up asking, hey, Uncle Alex, can you help me with this volcano and this rocket or whatever, the science project, right?
Sure, yeah.
So she got my attention and things like that. Before you know it, I completely forgot about my depression. You know what I mean? And I was so happy. I noticed how happy I was because I was keeping busy and I was helping her.
Do you know why that is? You know what makes that happen?
Why?
Because like a lot of times when things aren't going so well, like we introvert, right? Our attention goes inward.
Exactly.
Like, and we keep thinking, oh man, I hate that bad thing that happened to me. When you're in action and you're doing, like it makes you extrovert, put your attention out. Like, because I know even for me, like, you know, like I do a lot of sales. Like that's a lot of like what I do in my business.
Right.
I'm having a bad day, man. I go for a walk because you get your attention out.
Outwards, yeah.
So it's like you're saying, man, like that action just to be doing
Right.
makes you feel a lot better because you're not sitting there just thinking about your, you know, stuff that's happening.
Exactly. So along those lines, like thinking about myself, basically, you know what I mean? If when we start thinking about ourselves too much, I think that's when it occurs. And also like what we're telling ourselves, like for instance, like you were saying, you need to take a walk outside and just let it out there, and just thinking about too much of ourselves a lot of times, you know what I mean? So in appreciation for what my niece did, I carved out heart out of purple heart. Now, purple heart is a wood that comes from Guyana. It's from South America, I believe, right? So I did that all by hand, and I sent it to my brother, and their reaction was phenomenal. Like, they were so surprised. My brother, at that time, he knew I was skillful, but he didn't know how skillful I really was, and he was surprised that I sent it to him, and he went nuts. He just started saying, you could sell these things and stuff. Little did he know, like, that's something that I was thinking about anyway, but he appreciated it very much, started, you know, posting it and things like that. So I was with a girlfriend at that time, and I was still confused. But my niece gave me that little push. And then from there, I started developing these hearts, but I couldn't carve it, right? I couldn't carve it by hand and do multiple ones. So I always wanted to use a CNC machine. Now, I work full time.
Now, CNC, for people that don't understand, like, what does that mean?
It's a computer numeric control, and it's basically a machine that's kind of like a 3D printing machine, but instead of building the 3D object up with like plastic, it carves away material. So it's pretty much the opposite, but it does the same thing, but with different materials. So you can use wood, plastic, aluminum, things like that.
So the first one you made by hand, right?
The first ones, yeah, and I made a few of them, and those I made by hand.
How did your hands feel after that? I imagine
they were cramped, yeah. They got cramped. I had to use certain tools and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, I was like, man, I don't want arthritis, so
I
need a machine, and I'm not going to be in my garage whittling these things all day or whatever. So, but I always had you know, I work in the union, carpenters union, and I always wanted to learn how to use the CNC machine. And for some reason, they always gave me the runaround and things like that, and they wouldn't allow me to. And I'd apply for it to learn how to use the CNC machine, and they wouldn't allow me. I guess they didn't call me. They didn't call me, and you know what? I was like, you know, it's time. I need to take the initiative to do this myself. There's YouTube that I can learn how to use the CNC myself. The technology has gotten tremendously better. I can get a small one that I could put in a garage or a shed. Let me just do it. Let me go for it. And I did. I bought it. I told my two boys, I have two boys, 17 and 14, Alex and Aaron. How you doing? I love you guys. So basically, they helped me. They helped me to transform the shed in the back. And I purchased the CNC machine and I started creating these hearts.
Wow.
And my thought too was that I wanted to help people like my parents that couldn't necessarily help themselves, like have some sort of mental illness or illnesses in general. Just people that need the help. Use part of this profits and donate it, or keep it in a pot where people can see where their donation is going and they can see what is being used for. So my idea originally was to go to these hospitals, get these donations or whatever, sell it, you know, through the internet, 10% going to the donation, and then possibly giving the audience who's following me the certain options of what the money can be used for to help a particular person, and then tell their story and provide content, which is gonna basically, you know, help these people to want to purchase more, because now they know exactly where the money is going towards, right? And then they also will see content or story behind it every time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for the people listening, they're going to be listening, so they're not going to get the full effect of this, but you've got this, toolbox here. Let's open this up, and I'm going to do the best through the magic of audio to describe to you what we have here.
Sure. So I'm going to place them right here. This is just like a display.
Oh, got it. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to take this first one out. So this one here is blue, is dyed. It's curly maple. It's made out of curly maple wood, solid wood.
So do you like polish these as well?
No, what I do is I use a clear coat. So it protects it from the UV ray sun, and it protects it from oxidation. It's basically the coating that they use on cars. So it's, you know, very high protective coating.
Yeah.
And it's important because most of these woods have a natural color that comes from the tree. That one in particular is made specifically for St. Mary's Hospital for Children, and they asked me to basically make one specifically for them. Their color is blue, and their logo is a heart. So I made that for them, and half of those proceeds go to them. Also, I have, let's see here. Now, the majority of them, they're natural in color. So this one is called yellow.
So how, you mentioned you use a CNC to do these. So like, how long does it take to like create one of these? Like,
so to create one of these, it takes about 8 to 10 minutes for one. That one is called Yellow Heart, and that one's from South America, Brazil.
And this is like a pretty soft wood, or like what?
No, that one's very hard. That's a hardwood.
Got it.
Yeah. So all of the woods I use are hardwoods, although curly maple could be soft, but it's classified as a hardwood as well.
And this is curly maple, or which one's curly?
No, that one's Yellow Heart.
Yellow Heart. Okay. And that's
So-
the name of the wood.
That's the actual name of the wood. So a lot of the woods, the actual color is the actual name of the wood. So I'm going to show you, that one's Yellow Heart. I'm going to show you, let's see here, this is Purple Heart, and that's the actual name of the wood. And it's naturally purple. It comes from nature. And
So these woods are actually called heart.
yeah, heart.
That's interesting.
The color and then heart. And
So have you thought of like aligning this with like, since it's Purple Heart, like military type stuff, or?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like the Purple Heart for, you know,
Sure.
the soldiers and things like that. And, you know, it can be towards anything, you know what I mean? Represent anything that is of value to people, because a lot of these woods are valuable and it's new to the market. A lot of people think of diamonds as, you know, a natural precious resource. But these are woods that also are natural, and they're also precious. And I'm also putting a Swarovski crystal like in the center of them. So this one, for instance, this blue one is I guess this is one that I have a Swarovski crystal in the center, and I'm developing that.
So do you have
I have
to, like,
developed that.
And this is underneath the clear coat as well?
Yeah, so I did that originally, but now what I'm doing is basically like this heart here. You see what I'm saying? It's already pre-drilled, so I'll clear coat it and then stick the Swarovski crystal in the pre-drilled
okay,
hole.
cool.
So that way the crystal is gonna shine a lot
You put
more.
some sort of like epoxy or something underneath it, so it doesn't come out.
Just like some sort of adhesive, so it doesn't pop out for jewelry. So this is red heart, and that red heart also comes from South America, Mexico.
Interesting.
Let's see here, and I think the last one here that I have is this one is ebony. So ebony is the most precious. So the price points here they go for $25 for the yellow heart, red heart, and purple heart. The ebony, which is the most rare.
It's extremely smooth too.
Yeah. The ebony is naturally black, as everybody knows, and it's the most expensive only because it's the most rare. It takes many, many years for it to grow to adulthood, and for them to cut it, it makes it extremely valuable. Also, I created a pink heart. So recently I went to a small business meeting, and I told people my story and how I came up and developed these hearts. So let me just get her name accurately here. So the first person I'm working with, her name is Victoria Falcone. She's the manager of strategic partnership at St. Mary's Hospital, and that's the blue one.
Got it.
Right, so half of that goes to the proceeds. So that one is $40 with the chain. The other ones are about $30. The red heart, yellow heart, and purple heart are $30 with the chain. They normally go for $25. And then the ebony, which is most of it, is $50. So the ones that are not specifically made for the hospitals, I give 10% of all those sales. And the blue and this pink one is going to be for Natasha Moore, who is the development manager at the American Cancer Society. So she asked me at a small business meeting, I just met her, if it's possible to make a pink one, and I did. I made a pink one.
So this will get a clear coat on top as well?
That's going to get a clear coat on top. I just recently met her this past week, so this is relatively new. So if there's any other people that would want me to make some hearts like this, some exotic wood hearts, to help fund any of the hospital needs and things like that, I would like to do that. I would like to partner with somebody that would want me to make content as well, as well as donating.
Got it. So I guess like looking at this, like, what you're doing now,
Yeah.
like, I guess how has it changed your personal purpose, if it has?
So I wrote this down because I don't want to mess it up or whatever. So these hearts that I have here are my symbol of the beauty that comes from years of hard work and dedication when you strive to achieve your goals. This beauty can enter your life in ways you can't imagine. For me, it was an abundance of new friends and support from great people I've met along the way. I have a bigger family now. Good friends, good advice, encouragement, and compliments can be priceless. Love is priceless. Even if you have now one right now, even if you know one right now, know that there are like-minded people out there waiting to meet you and support you. I do this because it's my passion. Everyone has a passion. Everyone has a purpose. Find it, go for it, and never quit.
Got it. So I guess to just go back to the question then, how has your purpose changed then since you found this new
Oh, right. So
this new, project you're working on?
basically, it helped me to have a mind of my own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Your podcast is called,
Create your own life.
and that's what it's helped me to do, create my own life, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I've never done this before, and I'm extremely excited to be here with you, Jeremy, and
Sure.
I appreciate everything.
Yeah. So if you had to look at something you believed at 21 that you don't believe now, what would you say that is?
That would have my own mind, possibly, because I didn't even know then. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it's kind of like society in general, like how everybody's bombarded with all this media and things like that, and they feel like they have to be something or somebody or do something to get attention or whatever, rather than looking at themselves and then realizing what it is that they want in a real way, what they want to do, what's really in their mind. You know what I mean? And I'd like to think that I'm getting closer and closer to that.
Sure. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Alex Burgos, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, man. Like, for people listening, where can they find you?
BusyCarpenterBee.com. Also, Busy Carpenter Bee on YouTube, Busy Carpenter Bee on Instagram, and Busy Carpenter Bee on Facebook.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yep, not a problem. Thank you.
Absolutely.